In this video, we will be talking about acceleration. According to our copy, acceleration is a vector quantity that is defined as the rate at which an object changes its velocity. Kung paano daw po nagbabago, may it be bumibilis or bumabagal ang takbo ng isang object. An object is accelerating if it is changing its velocity. Acceleration has nothing to do with going fast. A person can be moving very fast and still not be accelerating if it is moving at a constant pace. The velocity is changing over the course of time. Acceleration has to do with changing how fast an object is moving. The data at the right are representative of a northward moving accelerating object. In fact, the velocity is changing by a constant amount of 10 meters per second in each second of time. Anytime an object's velocity is changing, the object is said to be accelerating. It has an acceleration. The unit for acceleration is in meter per second squared. But what does this meter per second squared means? Meter per second squared means meter per second per second. It is the change in its velocity in meter per second within a second. For example, an object moves from rest with a velocity of course, 0 meter per second squared to 5 meter per second squared, means that it accelerated at a pace of 5 meter per second squared. Hence, we could expect on the second that it will be moving at a velocity of 10 meter per second, and for the third at a velocity of 5 meter per second, and so on. The meaning of constant acceleration. Sometimes an accelerating object will change its velocity by same amount each second, as mentioned on the previous paragraph. The second table shows an object changing its velocity by 10 meters per second each consecutive second. This is referred to as constant acceleration, since the velocity is changing by a constant amount each second. An object with a constant acceleration should not be confused with an object with constant velocity. If an object is changing its velocity whether by constant amount or varying amount, then it is accelerating, and an object with constant velocity is not accelerating. The data tables below depict notions of objects with constant acceleration and changing acceleration. Note that each object has changing velocity. In the first table, there is a constant adding of 4 meters per second every second. Hence, we can say that it is constantly accelerating. But on the second table, we would observe that the object averages a velocity of approximately 1 meter per second in the first second, 4 meter per second in the second, 5 meter per second on the third second, and 7 meter per second in the fourth second. Hence, we can say that it is not constantly or there is no constancy in its pace of acceleration. Calculating the average acceleration. The average acceleration of any object over a given interval of time can be calculated using the equation A is equal to delta V over t, or the change in velocity over a given period of time, which is equal to the final velocity or Vf minus the initial velocity or Vi over t or time. Let's set for example, we have an object from rest which has a velocity of course 0 meter per second. After 1 second, it accelerated to a velocity of 50 meter per second. Now find for the acceleration. We have here velocity initial as 0 meter per second and velocity final for 50 meter per second. Now to calculate for acceleration, we have there A is equal to Vf minus Ti over t. Okay, so we have velocity final as 50 meter per second minus 0 meter per second, then within 1 second. We have here 50 minus 0 is 50 divided by 1 is 1. Hence, the object is accelerating at a pace of 50 meters per second squared.